On today's show, we are talking about the brand new comic book movie adaptation, Kick-Ass 2. Okay, so Matthew Vaughn is out, Jeff Wadlow is in for the sequel of Kick-Ass 2. Did you enjoy Kick-Ass?
I did, very much so.
Very much so?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it very, very much so. No, I didn't mean to up your very there. But, I don't know, I just remember watching it loads of times and just loving it. Never seen anything like that before. Hit Girl stole the show in that one, I think. Everyone's sort of in agreement. And I saw the trailer for this one, and it was sort of about going into a different environment that you wasn't comfortable with, and I was excited. Neither of us has read the comics. I think that should probably...
Yes.
You don't like John Romita Jr.'s artwork.
Can't stand it, so I cannot read it.
Yeah, even though you really like Mark Miller, so must be hard for you, man.
Not really.
No?
I'll read Superior instead.
So yeah, it's a similar plot. Yeah, as I said, Hit Girl's going into some different directions, and it's moving up now from just Kick-Ass on his own to being more of a team film. We got a cameo role from Jim Carrey, who plays the sort of Nicolas Cage of this film.
Is it cameo or is it just a role?
Well, he has much less of a role than Nicolas Cage did.
Yes, that's true. Still a role.
Okay. So we have that from Jim Carrey. So, how did you feel about Kick-Ass 2?
So yeah, as we said at the start, I loved Kick-Ass 1. Came out at the same time for me as Scott Pilgrim, which I at the time said I loved much more because it was Edgar Wright, so by default I had to like it more. Since the years have gone by, I have actually enjoyed Kick-Ass more.
Kick-Ass holds up much better, I think.
Kick-Ass does hold up more, much better. It's less weird and trippy than Scott Pilgrim. I, to be honest, was fairly disappointed with Kick-Ass 2 because it seemed like a lot of the same, but not done as well. And the moments of, that could really be something, are kind of squandered. They're just not used to their full potential. Jim Carrey is a perfect example of that. He is fantastic in this film, but he is used nowhere near enough. His character, for those who have read the comics...
So they are... Aren't they beholden to the comic?
No, because if you look at, I can't actually say anything about spoiling it, but it's.
So they're not tightly intertwined with the comic, no?
Not totally, because if I am correct, I read something recently that says if you don't want spoilers for Kick-Ass 1 and the first comic there, then stop listening for a minute. In the first film, that girl who thinks he's gay, who he ends up hooking up with, in the comic books is actually a complete bitch, and when she realises he's not gay, gets her boyfriend to beat the crap out of Kick-Ass, and then sends in pictures of her doing naughty things to the boyfriend. So that character is completely different.
Yeah.
And there are things like that in the comics and stuff, but for the most part, it's the same. So, I was gutted that Jim Carrey didn't have more of a role in this, and, Mother Russia is a great character in this, but is used nowhere near enough, and Louis Guzman I don't think is used enough, and and then there are things that I think are overused. Sorry about that. There are things that are overused, like the motherfucker. That joke gets really old really quick. The crap and vomit jokes are really quite childish for Kick-Ass 2. And in the first Kick-Ass film, the fight scenes were incredible. You get these brilliantly choreographed, the whole scene where she's running down the corridor, she throws the gun clips in the air and, keeps fighting, is amazing. In this, they rely a lot on shaky cam and lazy filmmaking techniques for me. And, when someone gets hit, it didn't have the same, punch to it as the first one. You could blatantly tell that blood is CGI'd in and things like that. So that was a bit disappointing. The jokes weren't that funny in this film as well. Didn't make me laugh that much. The action wasn't as good. Overall, it was just a bit disappointing. And I was really hoping that it'd be great. But, and especially comparing it to Kick-Ass, it was a bit disappointing for me. If it was its own film, I'd say it was all right, but it had a fair bit to live up to, and I don't think it came anywhere near living up to what it should. So for me, Kick-Ass 2 was a bit of a disappointment.
Okay. There is one part of the review that you just gave that I agree with. Actually, no, there's more than one part. That would be harsh. But the main part that I agree with is that it isn't as good as the first Kick-Ass. And it isn't as funny as the first Kick-Ass. I think when the first Kick-Ass came out, a lot of those things we were seeing for the first time.
Yeah.
We were seeing them fresh, and it was like, oh my god, I can't quite believe that this is happening.
Yeah.
And you were just getting your entertainment that way. And a lot of the things that happen in Kick-Ass 2 are a lot of the same beats that you've already seen from Kick-Ass 1, so I don't think that hits as hard. So I think, that's sort of where that falls. Having said that, I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah?
Really, really enjoyed this film. I was nervous that taking Hit Girl out of it, because I didn't realize they were going to do that until I actually watched the film.
Yeah.
Like they were going to sort of the plot would revolve around her should I, shouldn't I kind of thing. I was nervous that she was going to go. But where I think this film does really, really well is those sort of emotional and character-driven beats that I don't think we got in the first film. We got the sort of coming-of-age Kick-Ass, what does it mean to be a superhero? But the sort of, we get more growing up stuff in this. We get more Kick-Ass learning to deal with his actions, and it not just being, this over-the-top fanfare of glorious violence and attitude, but it being, a bit more real. Like, we're getting sort of, as we're getting further away from the realness, as we see at the end of this, we're also getting, more emotional. There's a lot more character that goes on in this. Kick-Ass is a very different character, as is Hit Girl, from when this movie starts to when it ends. And that is something that I really appreciated. Also, I really enjoyed the action sequences. I was really invested in them. I know these characters now. I'm in support of these characters. I want them to thrive. There's no point when two people are facing off that I don't want the good guy to win. When Hit Girl has the face-off that she does, I am fucking rooting for her all the way. Yeah. Like, I'm very, very invested in that character.
I'm not. As far as being invested in the characters during the fight scenes, of course, but I just found technically the direction of Matthew Vaughn in the original Kick-Ass was, we were seeing some crazy things, pulled out cameras. They weren't like, for example, Wolverine uses a lot of shaky cam. Wolverine has to use a lot of shaky cam because it's a 12A and you can't show that much violence. So a way to get around it. I think
it's unfair to say that the first Kick-Ass doesn't use shaky cam.
And I'm not saying it doesn't use it, but it doesn't use it to the extent that this one does. It is an 18, isn't it, or is it a 15? I think it's an 18. So there's no reason to try and hide behind that, except for it's easier to shoot it that way for me. So that I had a problem with.
I honestly didn't have a problem with the way it looked at all.
There was
one
great.
very, very dodgy green screen sequence where I was just like, wow, this looks terrible. And it's the one they're on a car.
Yeah.
Now that was genuinely bad by any standard, but that was the only real thing for me.
Yeah. I will say I did love the Mother Russia scene. That was absolutely brilliant. But I mean, just going back to what you were saying about the character building and I didn't get any of that. All I got was we spend half the film with Hit Girl going, I should be a superhero. I shouldn't be a superhero. I should be a superhero. I shouldn't be. And then the other half with Kick-Ass going, I should be a superhero. I shouldn't be a superhero. I should be a superhero.
About them growing and learning. No, you're exaggerating that. It's the flip, and it's to do with promises made, and it's about them understanding each other as people.
They flip, and it's just like
there was one flip each. That's all it was.
Yeah, but the way in which they flipped them was just at the wrong moments.
Not for me. I loved all the stuff with her at school and trying to fit in, and those two worlds.
Those whole scenes were just ridiculous. The stuff of her in high school. I'm sorry. I know I've been out of high school for a while now, but no one acts like that. No one speaks like that. No one.
You're
it was
saying that in a kick-ass
patronising.
film where there's a 12-year-old girl doing flips and killing
But that's not
20 men at a
patronising.
time.
That's not patronising.
No.
What happens in this film with the bitchy girl at school, that's patronising to school kids.
Oh,
like
come on!
high
The whole
schoolers.
thing is it's just heavy. This is a genre. Well, this is a property that deals in caricatures. Like that's its bread and butter. That's
I'm
its
fine
game.
with caricatures. You know, you watch something like Mean Girls and you get these massive caricatures. This was just like grab the stereotype out the bin and just you know what, just chuck it straight in the film. No, like, well, maybe we should add a bit of this and take that out. It was just 99-cent bargain basement stereotype, slap it in the film. And I'm just like, no, flesh it out a bit more. Just give it.
No, I mean, you don't want to spend time fucking fleshing out bitchy girls when they're going to disappear in the next scene. I don't care about bitchy girls.
But they
I
don't.
get that they're
They don't
supposed to be
disappear
bitchy.
in the next scene.
I get
They're
that they're
there for about
supposed to be
5 minutes.
bitchy. Fine, they're supposed to be bitchy. Now let's deal with the character that I'm
No.
actually interested in. Jim Carrey is sensational in this film.
I totally
He
agree.
is fucking amazing.
Totally
It
agree.
is such a like with the Nicolas Cage. It's such a different Nicolas Cage that we'd seen in years. This Jim Carrey, I was like, holy shit! Now I remember that this guy can act. This guy can act so well, and he's so much fun to watch.
Have you heard the comic book news rumor with Jim Carrey?
No.
He was recently seen on the set of Spider-Man 2 at the I can never remember what it's called. It's called like the Ravencroft Asylum, which very famous character of Cassius Clay is in, who ends up eventually becoming Carnage. So people are saying Spider-Man 3, there's a chance that Jim Carrey's going to be playing Carnage, which would be very cool.
Anyway, look,
Just saying.
I really enjoyed this film a lot. I immediately wanted to go in and see the third one. Like the way it set it up, everything we've been through.
done.
I liked where it had been. I'm really happy about where it's going. I loved it.
I mean, if you... I wouldn't say don't go and watch it. I just say don't expect anything special. Just, meh.
I'd say expect something different.
All right, so anyway, that's going to do us for today. Join us on Friday, where we are going to be playing another round of No Name, aka Terrence. And you can also forgot you can tell us what you thought about Kick-Ass on Twitter at Comic Book Show 1.
All right, we'll see you then. There was one flip each. That's all it was.